Welcome back to Solar Impulse TV, live from the Mission Control Center in Monaco. My name is Kari Lundgren, and it is a pleasure to welcome you back. Bertrand Piccard and Solar Impulse are loitering at about 7,000 feet. They've been flying for almost 2 days and are well on their way to Moffett Airfield, southeast of San Francisco in Mountain View, California. And here to tell me a little bit more about how the flight has been going so far, we have Leila. She is one of our mission engineers, and she's just coming off her 12-hour shift. So she's a little bit tired maybe, but still willing to be on SITV. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. So how have the last 12 hours gone?
They were really nice and really relaxing also for us in MCC because there were small things happening, but not too much. So we have been on our standard profile on flight level 280. We made a nice mission
Maybe we can get the plateau chart up here. Actually, it's the plateau chart for what's come. But yeah. Flight level 280, which is 28,000 feet.
Correct. And
which is, it's actually before this, but we'll hold on to this for now. That's fine.
Sure. And then we made, when the sun set, we made a nice mission descent. So Bertrand did very well. We made a small U-turn, so we got all the energy we wanted to, and
maybe explain why U-turn saves energy or helps with the energy.
Because the aircraft is in such a shape that when we turn the tail into the sun, so when the sun sets in the west, then we turn the tail into the sun, that we gain as much energy as possible.
So it's almost like solar panels in a field of solar panels. Why they shift depending on the angle of the sun. Yeah,
that's correct. And but Bertrand did very well. He was a little bit tired. Then afterwards, when the sun set, then he ate something, and then he went to bed. we named it Cloud Bed,
resting
because
on the clouds.
we have stratus layer beneath the aircraft, and he's sleeping now for 4 hours, not in a row, but he wakes up always, and we tell him if he has to adjust the heading or the power setting, and then he can rest again.
I mean, getting told that you need to hold your mic a little bit closer so we hear everything that you have to say. Well, I was going to ask about, I hear he's been having his compression socks. He's not happy with his compression socks.
Yes, he said it's hurting a little bit and he has pain in his legs. So yesterday he was a little bit worried about it, but today he just took a knife and cut them. So
cut them off. So
he's now feeling better and he can relax better, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Do we have, we're back to the map, actually. Well, we can look at this because basically this is quite interesting because you can see Moffett Airfield, where we are headed, which is down to the south here. Yeah, we're zooming in. And I was talking earlier with Eve, and they're busy, from what I understand, they're busy getting, the team have arrived, and the mobile hangar that's, I guess, the next stage is to get the mobile hangar prepared.
Correct. And but our meteorologist said that the next days will look good. So if we build the hangar, we do not expect any wind turbulences or rain. So it will be fine, I think. And yeah, we're looking forward to the landing.
Yeah, it should be great. Let's go back to that plateau chart, and then you can just give me a quick, I know you're going off your shift in this, the next team that's going to be focusing on this, but this isn't a normal profile for Solar Impulse. So Solar Impulse normally goes way up high and then down, but since we only have, let's see, well, it's about 17 hours before landing, this is sort of non-standard. So we'll be loitering 8,000 feet?
Yes, and the reason for this is that we are not planning to go through the night. So we do not need this potential energy and the batteries. So we decided just to go to 8,000 feet because of the wind speed there. It's totally fine for us. And then we are planning a early landing then in Moffett. And we also expect some mid-level cloudiness, which would not be nice if we are on flight level 280.
The higher flight levels.
Yeah,
all right, well, I have one last question for you, and then I'm going to go actually and show people the route, because I haven't showed them the route yet, the full around-the-world route. When did you first get involved with Solar Impulse, and what brought you to the project? I've been asking everyone that.
So I was studying aviation in Austria, and in 2012 I was looking for a master thesis to write somewhere, and I was always a fan of Solar Impulse, and then I was at the exhibition in Paris, where I met Michael and Christoph, and
I got two of the flight directors.
Yes, correct. And then I had the opportunity to make an internship in 2012 for the Morocco mission, and then I finished my studies in Austria, and now I'm back
So you've been along for the Solar Impulse ride for a long time. So you've experienced across America, and so in some ways this is going to be, you know, it's almost deja vu crossing the United States again.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time. We better let you get back to sleep. And yeah, we'll see you on another show a little bit later.
See you soon.
I think we're going to go to here. I'll just grab that mic from you, and then I think we're going to try to go to the route map if that is possible. Here we go. Yes, the route map. I'm going to put that down. It's Solar Impulse in the Sky. And yes, so the journey started March 9th in Abu Dhabi, where we went, and then we went on to do a pit stop in Muscat in Oman. Amazing pit stop out of here. There was an enormous tent with carpets, so that was fantastic. And then we went on to India. We stopped at 2 destinations in India, and there were absolutely thousands of people that came to see the plane in Ahmedabad, which was brilliant. From Ahmedabad, we continued on and did another pit stop in Varanasi. So another reminder, a pit stop is a very short stay for Solar Impulse where basically the pilots swap over, there's a check of the airplane, and then they continue. From Varanasi, we went to Mandalay, Myanmar. And that was a huge, you have to look at some of the pictures from Mandalay. They were absolutely fantastic. There was pom-poms and music and band. And also the following day, I think the president greeted Bertrand and Andre. So fantastic greeting in Myanmar. From there, Solar Impulse became the first solar airplane to fly in China. So we started in Chongqing, and from there we went on to Nanjing. And from Nanjing, we were due to fly to Hawaii, but we had to do a stop off in Nagoya. It was quite a stressful time for the team at Solar Impulse because it wasn't a planned landing. But the logistics, everything got worked out, so we landed in Nagoya. And from there, we did the longest ever solo flight to Hawaii. That was Andre Borschberg, 117 hours and 52 minutes. In any type of plane, balloon, anything, he did that flight. So 5 days and 5 nights, fantastic. That was where we left it off in 2015. And well, as of 1 day and 20 hours ago, we took off from Kalaeloa Airport on the island of Hawaii, and we are now on our way to Moffett Airfield, southeast of San Francisco in Mountain View, California, the heart of Silicon Valley. From here, our next destination will be Phoenix, which I'm not sure if we've jumped across Phoenix, but we'll go to Phoenix next. And then we're going to stop. Where we end up landing in the U.S. will very much depend on weather and other factors. So we'll end up somewhere at some airports in the middle of the United States. From there, we will go to New York, which we are looking forward to. And after New York, we have the big push across the Atlantic. This is going to be a big, challenging, and very exciting flight in the footsteps of Charles Lindbergh, arriving somewhere in Southern Europe. And from there, the final leg back to Abu Dhabi. And once that's completed, we will all be taking a very long nap. So that is the plan. And now, I don't know if you were watching last night, but Bertrand Piccard actually addressed the United Nations and spoke to Ban Ki-moon. It was quite a special moment for the team here, very special for Bertrand as well. And in keeping with the theme of the United Nations and the signing of the the Paris Agreement, climate agreement, we thought we'd show you an interview I did last week with Achim Steiner. He is the United Nations Environment Program Executive Director, and we had a chat. So here is that discussion. Welcome back to Solar Impulse TV. With us today, we have Achim Steiner, the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Program. I wanted to ask you, the meeting in Paris last year really marked a big step forward in the movement to fight climate change. And I was wondering, when you were going into that meeting, did you expect such a landmark agreement?
I was very hopeful that we would get one for 2 reasons. One, the world had spent the better part of 2 decades working towards a breakthrough agreement, an agreement that would, first of all, translate the science into corresponding actions. And that was a struggle that we spent the better part of 2 decades to try and bring the world to the table to act together. And secondly, because in the run-up to Paris, there was such public support. There was also an upsurge in the realization amongst economic actors, businesses, investors, financial markets, that climate change had become really an imperative on which we needed to act. And therefore, the political alignment, the economic alignment, the scientific foundations, and above all, the opportunities to act were there. What seemed once an insurmountable set of challenges, transition to renewable energy, new mobility systems, etc., had suddenly become win-win opportunities with the right policies. And therefore, you can never be sure when you walk into a conference of the parties on such a complex issue. But yes, hopeful I was, and I think that hope was realized.
You've described that agreement as a signal for the formation of green economies. Can you give us a sense of what you think the world and economies will be like in 50 years' time?
If you look at the most significant statement to come out of Paris, it is really one that the world now needs to decarbonize, and that a timeline has been set for somewhere around 2050 and the second half of this century to move towards a zero net emissions world. That means everything in our economies will have to adjust, and that will trigger innovation. It will change the signals with which our energy sector, our transport sectors, agriculture, virtually every aspect of our economy has to reinvent itself with a far greater emphasis on efficiency, on lowering emissions, on new technologies. And yes, I think the world, as a result of Paris and what will happen in the years to come, when we ramp up the ambition, when we actually see the implementation to scale, is a low-carbon future. And that is not now only an aspiration, it has actually been agreed in the Paris Agreement, and the world is now working towards it.
Do you consider yourself an optimist or a pessimist?
What I do see, and that is the privilege of working for the United Nations, is an extraordinary amount of innovation and change. And I think if you just take an area such as renewable energy, we just published recently again the trends in renewable energy investment for the year 2015. Record numbers, not only in total investments, but also more investments in solar, wind, and biotechnologies than oil, gas, and coal combined in the year 2015. Now, these are revolutions in terms of moving towards a low-carbon economy, and they're also delivering benefits that many of us have always argued for must be part of the equation, namely the development path, for instance, for a continent such as Africa.
You spent years sitting in on tough negotiations and fighting for the environment. What's kept you inspired over that time? I'm sure there's been ups and downs.
I think it is above all people. At the end of the day, you know, this planet could take care of itself very well without any of us. The challenge, the focus of all of our work is people, it's societies. It is also the confidence and the ability to take responsibility, not just for our own well-being, but we literally live in an age where decisions we take today will define options, realities, the lives of people 2-3 generations into the future.
Solar Impulse is probably a small project in the grand scheme of things, but does it help with the work that you're doing?
Well, this is precisely my point. Solar Impulse is a great project with great people inspiring great things, and I think it is not sometimes the most powerful or the most ingenious or the wealthiest who can make the biggest difference. When André and Bertrand sit in that plane and are actually traveling, they are not just traveling in a solar-powered plane, they are carrying with them a vision, a dream, an ambition, and also a challenge to those who say everything has to be as it is today. And I think this is the power of Solar Impulse in both realizing the possibility of new technology with a spirit of adventure, of breaking down frontiers, moving on to new horizons. And, you know, who knows what will come out of the Solar Impulse experience. I think, as always, a great idea can trigger so many different things, and neither I nor, I'm sure, André, Bertrand, anybody in your team right now will be able to second guess how in 10 years' time there will be people who will say, I did this extraordinary thing because I saw them flying 10 years ago. That is the power, I think, of Solar Impulse, far beyond the plane, far beyond that time window in which they're trying to accomplish this extraordinary journey. And I think this makes them part of this community of giving us hope and courage to try out new things.
Thank you very much for your time, Achim. We appreciate your interest in the Solar Impulse project and wish you luck. Oh, oops, sorry. Look, it's me. That's it from us here at Solar Impulse TV. We will be keeping you updated throughout the day to our landing at Moffett Airfield in the heart of Silicon Valley. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to leave you with some images of Solar Impulse 3 years ago today. It was flying over the Golden Gate Bridge, so very symbolic. The Solar Impulse 2 is flying into the Bay Area 3 years later. Thank you very much.